Welcome back to Cocoanix 3D printing. Today's video is something that I wanted to make for a very long time. Ever since I saw a comment under my CMYK color mixing video suggesting that I add another toolhead to my Toolchanger, the idea has been stuck in my head. At first it seemed like a fun challenge, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much potential it could unlock. So today I'll be showing you exactly how I upgraded my Toolchanger from 4 toolheads to 5. Including all the mechanical modifications, wiring, software configuration, calibration, and of course the final print test. This wasn't just a simple bolt-on upgrade. It required redesigning parts of the printer, reorganizing wiring, and recalibrating the entire machine. But in the end, I think the results speak for themselves. Let's get started. Before I could even think about installing a 5th toolhead, I had to figure out where to put it. The existing dock arrangement worked perfectly fine for 4 toolheads, but there simply wasn't enough room to add another one without making some changes. The original dock design wasn't particularly space efficient. Each dock used a mounting section that pushed it farther away from its neighbors than necessary. After taking some measurements and experimenting with a few ideas, I decided to completely redesign the mounting approach. Instead of using original mounting points, I cut them off and I embedded the mounting hardware directly into the dock plate itself. This allowed for each dock to sit much closer to the next one. The modifications saved over 2 cm of space per dock, which might not sound like much, but across the entire dock array it created enough room for an additional toolhead. With the design finalized, I disassembled all of the existing docks and transferred the magnets onto the new version. This process was fairly straightforward, but it was definitely repetitive. Once everything was assembled, I mounted the modified docks back onto the frame and checked their alignment. At this point I finally had enough space available to add dock number 5. Next came the assembly of the new toolhead itself. For this assembly I used a MadMax plate, which is a popular option for Toolchanger systems that this printer uses. Thankfully the assembly was pretty simple. The first step was installing all the magnets. And these magnets are critical because they're responsible for securely holding the toolhead in place during operation and ensuring consistent positioning every time the printer picks up a tool. After that, I installed the threaded inserts using a soldering iron. This is one of those steps that always feels satisfying because everything starts to look like finished product. Once the inserts were installed, I placed the M3 nuts into their designated slots and started assembling the rest of the plate according to the documentation. Everything fit together nicely and the assembly process went smoothly. One small challenge came when I needed jam nuts for mounting the sensor. Unfortunately, I didn't have the correct hardware available at the time. Rather than waiting for a new order to arrive, I improvised by using standard M3 washers. It wasn't the most elegant solution, but it worked surprisingly well. In fact, I have used the same approach for several of my other toolheads without any issues, so I wasn't particularly worried about reliability. After routing the sensor cable through the plate and securing everything in place, the mechanical assembly was complete. Now came one of my favorite parts of any printer upgrade, the wiring. If you ever built or modified a complex printer, you know that cable management is one of the jobs that's never quite finished. Every new upgrade somehow requires a few more wires than you originally planned for. When I opened my electronics compartment, I immediately discovered a problem. I had completely run out of available space in my Wago power distribution clips. Luckily it wasn't difficult to fix. I added additional Wago connectors, reorganized the existing wiring, and created enough room to power the new toolhead electronics. One thing I was very happy about was at the time of the original build, I had left myself one extra CAN bus header for future expansion. At the time I wasn't sure that I would never need it, but now it turned out to be incredibly useful. Today's video sponsor is PCBWay. If you build things, PCBWay is worth knowing about. They do PCB fabrication, CNC machining, 3D printing, and sheet metal all under one roof, with fast turnaround time and competitive pricing. And if you're new to this and not sure what to order, PCBWay has a shared project section where the community posts open source designs that you can order directly. It's a great way to get your first part made without needing to design anything from scratch. I've used them for my own projects and the quality was amazing. If you're a new user, you will also get a $5 discount on your first order. Make sure to check them out. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the video. With the power of communication and wiring connected, the hardware installation was finally complete. Now was the time to move on to the software side of an upgrade. The first step was bringing the EBB36 toolhead board online. To do this, I connected it directly to my Raspberry Pi using a USB cable. From there, I flashed the Catapult bootloader, which allows firmware updates over CAN bus. Once the bootloader was successfully installed, I disconnected the USB cable, powered the printer back on. The board was now visible on the CAN network and it was ready for the firmware installation. Using the CAN bus connection, I flashed the firmware and verified the board was responding correctly. After that, I replicated the configuration files from one of the existing toolheads and modified necessary settings. Most importantly, I updated the CAN UUID so the printer could uniquely identify the new board. After restarting Klipper and checking for errors, everything came online perfectly. The fifth toolhead was officially alive. At this point, the upgrade was technically complete, but there was still one major task left before I could actually use it: calibration, and lots of it. Since I had moved every dock to create space for the fifth toolhead, all of the previous dock positions were entirely no longer valid. Some docks have shifted slightly, and a few even shared their dock orientation entirely. That meant I had to perform a complete dock position calibration from scratch. For those of you unfamiliar with Toolchanger systems, calibration is absolutely critical. Even a small positional error can cause failed tool pickups, missed docks, collisions, or unreliable operation. I spent a considerable amount of time adjusting positions, testing pickup sequences, making corrections, and repeating the process all over again. It's definitely not the most exciting part of the project, but it's what separates the machine that works occasionally from work that works every single time. Eventually, after many rounds of fine-tuning, all 5 toolheads were consistently docking and undocking correctly. Now it was the moment of truth: reliability testing. A Toolchanger can look perfect during a single tool swap, but that doesn't mean much. What really matters is where it can repeat the process over and over without failure. My personal rule of thumb is simple: if a machine can successfully perform 50 consecutive dock and undock cycles without any problems, I consider it reliable enough for real printing. So I started the test sequence. The printer began swapping toolheads repeatedly. 1 cycle, 5 cycles, 10 cycles, 20 cycles. At this point I was feeling pretty confident. And finally 50 successful tool changers completed without a single issue. No missed pickups, no alignment problems, no crashes, no unexpected behavior. The dock sequence was officially verified. At this point there was only one thing left to do: actually print something. I wanted a model that would fully utilize the new capability of this machine, so I searched for a design that required 5 separate colors. The goal wasn't to produce a nice looking print, I wanted a final validation that every part of the upgrade was functioning correctly under real world conditions. Once the model was sliced and prepared, I started the print and let the machine do its thing. Over the next several hours, the printer performed hundreds of tool changes. Every layer was another opportunity for something to go wrong. But thankfully, everything worked out exactly as intended. Tool changes remained smooth, color transitions were clean, the machine stayed consistent throughout the entire print. And eventually the print finished. The result looked great. As always, seeing a complicated multi-material print emerge from a machine is incredibly satisfying. But this time it felt even more rewarding because it represented the completion of a major upgrade project. Now, instead of being limited to 4 materials, I have 5 toolheads available at any time. That extra toolhead opens up a lot of new possibilities. I can experiment with even more unusual material combinations. I can dedicate toolheads to specialty filaments. I can reduce the number of filament swaps needed for a complex project. And perhaps most importantly, I can finally achieve a much wider color range. Previously, when using CMYK color mixing techniques, there were limitations. One of the biggest challenges was producing true black. Now I can dedicate an entire toolhead specifically to black filament while still retaining all the other colors. That means better color reproduction, stronger contrast, and more flexibility for future projects. Overall, I'm extremely happy with how this upgrade turned out. The mechanical modifications worked, the electronics integration worked, the software setup worked, and the final print proved that everything functions reliably together. It's always satisfying when a project goes from just being an idea inspired by a comment to becoming fully operational upgrade that genuinely improves the machine. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed watching this upgrade process, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to support future projects and allow me to continue creating more videos like this one. And if you have any ideas for the future upgrades, experiments, or challenges you'd like to see, be sure to leave a comment below. There's always another project waiting around the corner. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.